Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back, guys. And I don't know how much you guys can really see. I didn't take a whole lot of time to find a place to mount the camera. I just put you up on the monitor bracket and called it good. I got, just a few passes and we'll be done here. And we're kind of running under the threat of potential storms. Originally it was supposed to be 4 o'clock. I just checked my phone just to see what's what, and yeah, they're calling for 80% chance of rain right now. But it seems how the beans are at 10%, I'm not going to worry about it. And you take the extra moisture, a little bit of extra weight on. If they start getting tough, I'd obviously have to quit, but, well, the chance of rain for 4 o'clock is no more. And it looks to me like it's a storm system that's kind of skirting up along the Wisconsin-Illinois border. And it would have to take a pretty good shower to really get me worried, because at least at the moment I still have space in the grain cart. I could go clean out the combine the best I could, clean out the sump on the grain auger or the grain tank, and then close the tarp on the grain cart and I'll be good to go. So it's overall, I think we're doing all right. Personally, I think the monitor's running a little bit low. I think that goes back to the calibrations that we ran, because the beans really don't look that bad. And I'm not going to tell you what they're yielding. It's just the name of the game. I think they're running up to 5 bushels better than what the monitor's telling me. And the reason I say that is because to hit our goal for this field, I was looking for 3,500 bushels, and Ryan's got that and then some already. So it might be closer to 4,000 bushels, which means you can't really get too upset at what this farm is running. We're losing a little bit of yield on bushels. I'm sorry, we're losing a little bit of a few bushels to the moisture. Ideally, we should be at 12% moisture. At 10%, you lose approximately, I guess, 2 bushels to the acre. And it's my friend Ryan, not my brother Ryan, my friend Ryan. One of his phrases he likes to use all the time, or at least used to for quite a while there, was, "It is what it is," because we most certainly are not going to stop harvesting just because the moisture is too low. Seen that come back and bite us in the rear, hoping that, if we leave, we'll come back and, maybe the moisture will be a little bit better. And you end up coming back and it's another point or two less than what it was when you left. So I'm definitely one of those people that gets in the mindset of, if you can run, go ahead and run. So the header height adjustment is giving me some issues, more than yesterday. I'm not saying like I completely ignored it, but don't have the parts to fix it. I left the farm this morning, came back and got my 5-gallon pail so I could drain, there she is, so I could drain the grain tank, and got a few miles down the road and realized I forgot the new grounding connector, because right now I'm feeling pretty confident, and what I'm looking at is just the ground is just poor. So I want to go through and I'm going to clean it up, cut it off, put a new one on, clean up the wires, and clean up a new spot on the frame, on the head, and ground it someplace else. I don't like where it's grounded. It collects too much gunk from the hydraulics, taking the single point connector off. it's just not, you know. We're dealing with electrical demons on this head, and we're just going through one thing to the next, all the same problems, so you just keep running down the line. If I'm to the point where it's a wiring issue, yes. It's just where we're at and under what circumstances, because we did have it working, and I unhooked the head to move to this farm, and it got its attitude back. But you know what? I got things to do. I can make it work. Not abusing it by any means. The header still floats. So I'm going through and just getting it done, because otherwise, for how much this thing has beeped at me at this point, I wouldn't be at I wouldn't even be to the halfway point on this farm if I would have sat and thought that. It just isn't worth it. I got a pretty good idea about what the problem is, and I think right now I didn't count my rows. 1, 2, 3. I'm guesstimating here. Oh, we're good. We're running, and everything's running great. Like I said, it's a little bit of a relief coming to the conclusion. It's not confirmed yet until we're done that this place is running more in line with what we were really looking for anyway. So we'll know for sure once Ryan gets the last of the beans down. We'll get some actual legitimate scale tickets and be able to estimate what our yield was here. I mean, it's not my farm, this is Ryan's farm, so I'm not going to sit and discuss what yields are doing. If he wants to, that's up to him, but that's really none of my business. I'm more or less just in the operator's seat of trying to make sure I'm getting him as many bushels as absolutely stinking possible. My buddy was joking, my friend Ryan, I'm bouncing back and forth between Ryans here. My buddy Ryan was texting me last night asking how things were going, and I'm like, oh, beans. That's about all you really need to say is, yep, beans. And he's like, well, what you need to do is get yourself a 45-foot flex draper for the front of the old girl, the 9770 here, and a bigger head, I guess it'd be okay, but to be honest with you, things are running smoothly with, you know, electrical bugs. Would I upgrade this head in the short term? Yeah. I mean, as of right now, it's doing us good. We're gradually picking up more ground. I mean, we're not huge operators by any means, but we are, you know, I'm fielding phone calls from people asking if I want to rent their places, so it's better than going the other way, right? And would I like a draper over an auger head? I was told that drapers will gain you another 5 bushels to the acre just with the lack of head shell. And I would believe that, because down in the front of the feeder house where all the fingers are coming out and grabbing those beans and yanking them back into the combine, I am seeing the beans sporadically here kind of flying out. Not a big fan of that, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it either. So I've been running a lot faster than I was yesterday. I think that was part of my yield issues with monitor. This monitor was calibrated at 3.5 miles an hour, running 75 bushel beans through it, and I wasn't running 3.5 miles an hour all day yesterday, in part because I was white knuckling it, you know, just trying to make sure I was doing an appropriate job here, everything is working and all that sorts. And this morning I was feeling a lot more comfortable with how everything was running, so I was shoving the control stick, the speed lever, a little bit farther ahead and running 3.5 to 3.7 miles an hour, and the yield is actually it's creeping up. But every time I make a pass, I gain about 1/10 of a bushel to the acre. It doesn't really matter when it comes right down to it, unless you're looking for bragging rights and what the yield is doing. The yield monitor is a tool, because when it comes right down to it, you're not gonna quit harvesting because it's only running, or corn's only running 100 bushel or 200 bushel to the acre. What having a yield monitor does is it increases our ability to manage our crops going forward. It gives us records, yield records of previous crops, so we know where inputs need to go, what populations can be adjusted to. And especially running that corn planter with the variable rate population, some people want to automatically go, oh, we got some gravel ground that isn't going to run that great. We'll drop that down to 28,000 or 25,000 seeds per acre. I am one of those people. Well, my agronomist, and granted, not saying that he's trying to sell seed, but what he says in his statements is he at least backs up everything he says with knowledge, with logic. And like he said, is if you have some poor ground that you drop the population on to whatever you decide to drop it to. The example he used was one of his other customers was running some tough spots in his field. Well, bad news for me, I grabbed the GoPro that likes to kick out recording while I'm working here. And yes, I did find my GoPros. I'm not going to say where I found them because I'm not really all that happy with where I found them. I'm assuming it was an accident, but yeah, that's that. But now that I got the GoPros, I can hopefully get some better shots here. Just to finish up what I was saying about Andrew, he had one of his customers that had some tougher spots in his fields, and they did the same thing. Logically, okay, they can't support 32,000 seeds per acre. I'm talking about corn. We're going to drop that down to 28,000. So the thing is that in tough spots, crops tend to naturally thin themselves down. And he said that area that they planted at 28,000 seeds per acre this year ultimately thinned itself down even more to 24,000 seeds per acre. And really, for the ground conditions that he had, it's not like it was like part of that farm I'm on at home where it's got some rocky areas and light soil. He said it was just a tougher spot of the farm, some kind of different soil, and he says it could have easily handled 28,000, but he says when it dropped itself down or naturally thinned down to 24,000, he said it made for a pretty pitiful stand. So yes, having variable rate is going to be nice, but at the same time it allows me, if I'm not running a prescription map for what I want like across any part of the field, I can also supposedly, I haven't done it yet, just set my population at like 36,000 and make a pass and go, you know what, I'm going to drop this one down to 32,000, or if you're like me, I push yield and push populations in some of my ground and I get up to 38,000. But with the way the planter is going to be set up versus how it was set up, it's going to be a lot more crucial to make sure we are planting the yields that we actually do want, because we're going to be having the seed placement. Ideally, we'll be getting the seed placement where we want it, where it needs to be, so the emergence should be significantly better. But that also will mean that you could also end up having way too many plants than what the ground can handle. Because yeah, I planted 36,000 seeds per acre, but with the finger pickup, You know, am I actually getting that? I'd sure like to think so, but you know, things happen. So as far as the beans go, we got this farm. If the rain misses us, Ryan will be able to get the last load of beans out, and then I'll go to the next farm, which is my farm. Look at that little rock. Little rock, it's huge. We're gonna go to my farm. I got 2 farms of mine that'll have to be harvested of beans, and then we'll be done with beans for the year. We're gonna go through. I was gonna say we gotta replace that shaft on the head before we put it away for the year, but it seems how that isn't gonna be an issue anymore. I'm gonna go through. I gotta hit it with the air hose, clean out all the dirt, debris that may be built up underneath on all the, ooh, I don't like that, on all the flex areas, because I don't want this head to get locked up like the other head did, which that head was just, it had its own demons to deal with. And no matter how many times we tried to purge those demons, they just came screaming right back. Where are we at here? But I don't know, I think Ryan will be pretty happy here. I'm nervous. I don't have much for beans this year. I was really heavy corn. I mean, I only have 2 farms in beans. And next year, it's looking like I might only have like 10 acres of beans, and I'll be really heavy corn next year. But, you know, that number is subject to change. So, as far as this head goes, we get the electrical issue figured out, which we will. I mean, if we got to put a new wiring harness on it, I guess. Unfortunate to be me, but oh well. We could probably run this head for a few years and be fine. Drapers, the problem with those, they're so expensive, but if you can gain 5 bushels to the acre at $14 to the bushel right now, that adds up fairly quick where you could pay off that head a bit sooner. So this head was a purchase of convenience because it was there. I mean, the header cart that this bean head came on, and then that baler and the header, they all came from the same place. So that was just good, bad timing on the equipment's part, I guess, because it was a package deal. The header cart, that's going to be switched over to the corn head. Then the dolly style header cart that the corn head is currently sitting on is going to be put under this, and we'll put the multi-steering head that we are currently using underneath the corn head. The reason we're doing that is because I really like this header cart with the all-wheel steering. It is super cool. It's fun going across the field and getting into tight areas like around the buildings and everything, and that header cart just follows your tracks, just step for step, and I absolutely. Well, that camera's just reached its limit, so I'm gonna end this video before it kicks me out again. I'll do some more cab combining videos with you guys, and actually I could sit and talk for quite a while yet, but I don't like having to go through and attach all these videos together. Oh, and I got the grain tanks almost full, which is a good issue, but the cart is all the way up there, but I'm working from the back end of the farm back home. So, all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Big emphasis on the subscribe. If you're just a casual viewer, if you subscribe, it gives you a little bit of an update on when my videos are posting. I'm currently doing the whole 5 videos a week. We get out of busy season. I'll see what I can manage to do once we get in the winter, if it'll be a video a week or if I'll just go on a small hiatus, because I got some pretty big things I got to work on coming up throughout the winter that, I mean, not having to worry about YouTube is kind of a perk. So, oh well. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.